doesn't address the usability concerns. It addresses the accessibility concerns. It gives great examples. It's a great resource for what authors can use. But there's nothing that says you can't say the word picture or graphic. There's nothing that says that.
Right.
So there really is no usability guidelines that I know of. It's really all just, and the tools that you talked about, the Wave, and there's another one called Bobby and a couple other ones, they're good because they give you a good automated test. They give you a great automated, this means this, yes, this means this. But the only way to really know a website is accessible and usable is to have actual users try it out.
Yeah, we have a professor at Northeastern who's blind, and she recommended that, she told us that the BBC News was a really good website that followed exceptionally.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other ideas?
That's another good one. The American Foundation for the Blind, AFB.org, really prides itself on following accessibility and usability guidelines to the letter. I know the webmaster actually, and she's really committed that AFB will do nothing that's outside of the CAG guidelines. And so they have and they also make it a very visually appealing website because you can follow the website guidelines and this website that's great for people with disabilities, but the majority of people who are going to be using this website are fully sighted, and you need to have your page look nice as well. Because visual aspect is important. So they really pride themselves on making a visually appealing website, but also making it fully accessible. So I would suggest definitely checking out that website.
Yeah, what you said, definitely we're trying to argue it, and I think it was Mr. Rothstein's point too, in terms of universal design and making it, when we talk about this issue, really it can be, as you just said, super pretty and nice and as well accessible.
Exactly, yeah. Designing it for all users. Designing the product to be used by everyone, whether it be someone who's in their 30s who's fully sighted, or it's going to be somebody who's in their 70s who has no vision, or somebody who somebody who can only use one hand. You need to design it for all users, and that's a challenge, but it's definitely what you put designing to be thinking about these pages.
Do you think that having users test a website should be sort of a requirement for websites? Because I think some companies do it.
Yeah, some companies, yeah. I've actually got a couple of colleagues in the field that actually that's what they do is they, work with different companies before they publish a site and go through, contractual work, go through and test different sites and things like that. And it should be a requirement. Hard one to say. How do you tell someone you need to hire people to do this? That's a difficult one. Would I like it to be a requirement? Yes, I would. But I feel like a company would block it. The accessibility tools that are out there now, the automated tools, do a nice starting job. They really get people thinking about, okay, well, this is the problem, and this is the problem, and they get people looking at different things. So they're a good starting point. Companies really want to go above and beyond it. They'll actually hire someone to test it and to look at it. But as an author who creates a page and knows how to make things accessible, knows how to make things fully usable, if they create a dozen websites, should they be required to have a blind user or someone with a user with a disability test each and every one of those? If an author knows what they're doing, they can create a great, accessible, usable site, and no need to test it. It's also difficult to test, and testing also becomes difficult because, someone who's low vision might have a problem with the site, but someone who's totally blind will say, hey, the site's great. So how do you test from the other challenge? How do you test, for every single user?
That's an interesting point.
And also people with low vision, what works for some does not work for others, depending on what the eye condition is. Some people prefer really high contrast. Some people prefer, larger text. It really depends. So.
We were wondering too, what most users think in terms of being able to adjust the options, and whether is it better to be able to do so, or is that too many choices? Is it bad to give too many?
Well, it depends on how many options you give the user, but I think in general, yes, the user having given users control of how the information is presented and formatted is really useful.
Okay.
You've seen a lot of sites do it. I mean, CNN does that now. A couple other different sites do that. Like, increase the font a little bit or things like that. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something we've debated a lot about during the course of this project is whether text only is a good option. And we've talked to people in the field, and many of them, there's kind of a divided opinion that text only is good, text only is bad. What is your personal opinion?
Well, text only is a lot of work. If I'm a web page author and you say, okay, I want you to create, you've got this great site, but it's not really usable by a person with disability, so therefore create a second text only site. Okay, I create it, throw it up on the page, and then tomorrow I want to update my main site. Okay, I'll update my main site. Whoops, I forgot to update text only site. So you're really asking a designer now to keep two sites current. And the reality of that, it's not going to happen. There's one major manufacturer that I know actually that did that for a while. They've since ceased their text only site, but they had this great text only site when it first launched. It was great. Well, they tried updating some of their products, and the products didn't update on the text only site. So if you were blind, you couldn't, and it gives people an excuse to say, oh, I can do whatever I want on my main site because I've got a text only site. And I want to be able to use the same website as my site of peers. I want to be, if my friend says, hey, this is a really cool feature of the site, I want to be able to use that exact same feature. So therefore, universal design, put everything into one site and make it usable for everyone. It's a little more work, but in the long run, it's going to be better off.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good idea.
I think we're coming up on our time, and I think something that we were hoping to do when we were meeting you is, would it be at all possible to go on a website with you and see how you work through a website? That would be really powerful, I think, for us to have for our presentation.